You're listening to The Philosopher's Note on Gay and Katie Hendricks. More wisdom in less time.
Hi, this is Brian, and welcome to The Philosopher's Notes on Gay and Katie Hendricks. These are notes from conscious living and loving workshops facilitated by the Hendricks Institute that I'll be sharing with you. We're going to start with a great quote from Leo Buscaglia's book, Love. He says, quote, "If he desired to know about automobiles, he would, without question, study diligently about automobiles. If his wife desired to be a gourmet cook, she'd certainly study the art of cooking, perhaps even attending a cooking class. Yet it never seems as obvious to him that if he wants to live in love, he must spend at least as much time as the auto mechanic or the gourmet in studying love." End quote. Again, that's from Leo Buscaglia's book, Love. I love that. Love. It's one of the most important subjects we could ever hope to master, and yet, for some bizarre reason, so few people really study it. I don't know about you, but I agree with another comment from Buscaglia, who says, quote, "I would not want to form a partnership with an architect who has only a little knowledge of building, or a broker who has a limited knowledge of the stock market. Still, we form what we hope to be permanent relationships in love with people who have hardly any knowledge of what love is." End quote. Thankfully, I'm blessed to be with a woman who's as passionate about studying love and life as I am. And I can tell you that we've learned the most on the subject so far from Gay and Katie Hendricks. In addition to being among the world's experts in relationships and conscious living and loving, they're two of the most inspiring people I've met, embodying the ideals they teach more than any couple I've ever seen. Get this, they haven't exchanged a harsh word or criticism in over 10 years. Truly incredible. In this note, we're going to take a quick look at some of the big ideas from two of their workshops that absolutely transformed my life. We'll kick it off with the core of their teachings, appreciation. The first big idea is appreciation, the wonder drug. To appreciate. What a beautiful verb. The dictionary tells us that to appreciate means both to recognize the full worth of something and to rise in value or price. So let's bring that into our relationship. If I appreciate someone, they appreciate in value. I like that math. I think that's kind of cool. It's amazing, actually. Go ahead and give it a shot. Try appreciating someone you love today and see if their worth doesn't grow right before your eyes. The next big idea is 5 to 1, the magic number of love. So John Gottman knows relationships. He can watch a couple interact in his lab and be able to tell you within minutes, and with a stunning accuracy, which couples' relationships will endure and which will dissolve. One of his key factors, the 5 to 1 ratio. To survive, let alone thrive, his research shows that a couple needs to have 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. Not 1 to 1, 5 to 1. A positive interaction would be something like, "I really love the way you shine when you walk into a room." Or, "When I hear you laugh, I just have to smile. Your laugh is one of my favorite sounds in the world." Those are two of my personal favorites for my love. A negative interaction would be something like, "Why didn't you do what you said you'd do?" Or, "How many times do we have to talk about this?" Those might be two of my other favorites in my less enlightened moments. So one of the key tenets of lasting love and conscious living that we'll be coming back to again and again in this note is the concept of appreciation. Consciously practice appreciating your partner and every other person with whom you want a deeper, more vibrant relationship. Make it a game. See if you can get to 10 to 1, 10 positive interactions and appreciations for every 1 negative or criticism. Then things will start to really take off. Let's practice now. What are 10 things that you appreciate about your love? Could be a spouse, could be a parent, could be a child, could be a colleague, a friend, whatever. What are 10 things that you appreciate about this individual? In the PDF, you'll see that I have a list, actually, where you can write down 10 things. If you're driving, think about it. If you're walking, think about it. If you have a piece of paper, get it out and write 1 through 10. You may want to press pause while you come up with that. And, of course, once you've made one list, you can go ahead and make all kinds of lists. So when you're done with that, go ahead and make another list for a different person in your life. And if you're feeling it, keep on doing it. Cannot hurt. Practice that appreciation muscle. Then when you get home or you get somewhere, tell them just how much you appreciate them. Share this with them and watch them appreciate your appreciation and grow in value right before your eyes. And then think about the next big idea, Please don't lean on me. Quote, we aren't responsible for creating all the bad things that happen to us, but we can claim responsibility for the bad things that happen and learn a lot about ourselves by doing so. It all depends on whether you think of responsibility as something you are or as something you do. For us, the only useful way of thinking about responsibility is as something we do. We use an operational definition of responsibility, not a theoretical one. Responsibility is an action you take, not a quality that can be assigned. A judge and jury can assign responsibility to a criminal for an act, but that criminal's life will not begin to change until he or she makes a conscious choice to take responsibility. The key point is this: there is tremendous healing power in taking responsibility for something right now in the present, but no healing value in looking back to the past to blame yourself or anyone else. That quote's from Lasting Love. So taking 100% responsibility in our lives, it's very important. So here's a little exercise we did at the workshop that will help you feel into whether you're taking 100% responsibility in your relationship. All right, so what we did was we stood up and we stood next to our partner, not quite touching. All right, you got that? Now stand next to your partner and gently touch the side of each other's arms. Isn't that nice? All right, now lean into your partner so that you're pushing them over just a little bit. You feel that? Things get a little shaky and strained and effortful, and if you push too hard or soften or move one way when they move another way, one or both of you may fall over. That's kind of like what happens when we don't take 100% responsibility in our relationship. We either take more or less, and things start to get a little unstable. Can you feel that? The lesson is you can touch, but don't lean. Take 100% responsibility. No more, no less. So if you just did this experiment in your mind, actually try it. It's pretty cool to feel it physically and to see all the ways it manifests in your relationship. Okay, the next big idea is drift happens. Are you committed to drifting from your highest self into the same old exhausting patterns of soul-sucking dramas that make life so unpleasant? All right, well, if that's your plan, here's what you need to do. Every chance you get, use one of these 100% guaranteed methods of drifting to get yourself off track. You can blame, you can criticize, you can judge and lecture and ignore, explain, or withdraw. If for some odd reason those don't work, just try these. Control, be sarcastic, procrastinate, watch TV, complain, get overwhelmed, justify, go shopping. Whatever you do, definitely don't breathe. Interrupt, get righteous, space out, or worry. That should do it. Those are all proven ways to get yourself out of being your highest self and into what Gay and Katie call drifting. Seriously, we need to become more and more aware of how we habitually drift into negative patterns that destroy our relationships. It's so important to be able to step outside of the stimulus-response cycle we're habituated to and consciously choose to create a new response. How? We need to learn how to shift when we drift, which is the next big idea. Shift happens. Quote, willingness to learn from each moment, as opposed to defending ourselves by stonewalling, explaining, justifying, withdrawing, blaming, is much more important than IQ, family background, or education. The great advantage of openness to learning is that you're in charge of it at all times. You can choose to shift out of defensiveness into genuine curiosity at any moment. End quote. So are you tired of drifting? Me too. Get out of the drift of downward spiraling drama by learning to shift yourself back into ease and flow. How? Try these. First, breathe. It's by far the #1 recommended solution by the top metaphysicians around the world. Well, once you've done that, first breath, try breathing again. Something's bothering you, take a deep breath and exhale and do it again and again. It really is quite stunning what oxygen in our brains and bodies does for us. Other ways to make a shift when you feel yourself drifting? Try speaking authentically, truly loving the experience, recommitting to your ideals, moving your body in a new way, or using this challenge as another opportunity to get closer to your essence. Fun stuff. The key to consistently moving from drifting to shifting? Well, I'm glad you asked the question. The answer, it's all about the next big idea, which is the power of recommitment. All right, so you might be familiar with this wonderful W.H. Murray quote I'm going to share with you. It's one of my favorites. Quote, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative and creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then Providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen events, meetings, and material assistance which no one could have dreamed would have come their way. I have learned a deep respect for one of Goethe's couplets. Quote, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. End quote. Love that quote. That has to be one of the best quotes on commitment out there. Here's the deal, though. Let's say we commit to a big goal or to living a certain ideal. Whether we're going to build a business or we're going to live from appreciation or whatever. It's a powerful first step. But the real trick is in the recommitting. It's so easy to get distracted or thwarted or discouraged. What we do in those moments of discouragement is the key to our destiny. We need to recommit again and again and again. It's kind of like when a pilot is flying us from New York to London. She's committed to taking us to the destination, but is actually off target probably over 90% of the time. Thank God for recommitments. Imagine if she beat herself up every time she was off instead of simply recommitting and simply adjusting her course to her goal that she's committed to. All right, the next big idea is persona yoga. Persona. The word literally means mask or character played by an actor. Personas. We all have them, a lot of them actually. Think of them as roles we've learned so we can function in our lives. For example, I've got a Mr. Perfectionist who needs to make sure everything is perfect all the time. I've also got a Nietzsche who, when he's in charge, needs to deliver philosophy with a hammer all the time. And I've got a Bodhisattva who needs to reach his own enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings all the time. And I can go on. I've got all kinds of personas. I think you get the idea. Now, the issue isn't that these personas are bad, per se. It's just that we can get in trouble when we get locked into one persona in particular and can't step back, get a bigger perspective, and see that we are not any one given persona. And equally importantly, that we can choose which persona we'd like to show up in any given moment. Now, for me, my Mr. Perfectionist wouldn't have let me get even 20 words into this big idea when I first sat down to write it, because it wasn't perfect. Thankfully, I no longer let him get involved in the early phase of my creations. But you know what? He's perfect for proofreading. Most powerfully, as we develop our ability to hold the spaciousness to see the multiple personas at work, we get better and better at tapping into our authentic self that radiates our true essence. So next time you feel yourself getting all tied up in a knot, see if you can step back and identify the persona that may be at work and wanting to make sure he, she, it gets his way all the time. So persona yoga, it's all about being flexible. There's actually a science to this as well. Patricia Linville, PhD, calls the ability to remain role flexible self-complexity. Develop this and you develop your resilience. And that'll result in better mental and physical health and self-esteem. Always good things. All right, so the next big idea is eat your projections. Quote, withdrawal and projection are the natural outcomes of withholding. When you withhold, you keep inside yourself things that should be expressed. The very act of hiding these things takes you one step back from the relationship. A result of this withdrawal is that you will begin to project. In other words, you will begin to attribute to other people things that are actually issues of your own. End quote. So if you want to get full real fast, just learn to eat your projections. Let's say you're criticizing someone. Hypothetically, of course. I know neither one of us ever does that. But I'll be the example. In my less enlightened moments, which are still tragically too often, I find myself criticizing my goddess about not doing something she committed to doing. Say meditating, getting up early, or something like that. Now here's the funny thing. When I am doing these things, I never criticize her. It's only when I'm not living my life fully that I give her a hard time. So what I'm doing is projecting my own stuff onto her. And that is not cool. The secret is, whatever we're criticizing someone about has nothing to do with them and everything to do with us. The rule, don't put your projections on other people. Eat them. Yum. All right, the next big idea is your relationship acid test. Quote, if you tell the truth at all times, you will have clear relationships with everyone. If you do not, things will get out of control very quickly. To get back into the flow of harmony, all you have to do is look to see where you stop telling the truth to yourself or someone else and fix it by telling the truth. End quote. So if you want to get a quick gauge on the health of your relationship, try this on. Is there something significant going on in your relationship that you've talked to other people about, friends, therapist, family, whoever, that you haven't talked to your partner about? Eek! Gay and Katie literally call this the acid test of a healthy relationship. If you're talking to others about something you're not talking to your partner about, stop doing that. Start practicing honesty today, pure microscopic honesty. If something is bothering you about your partner and you find yourself chatting with people about it and not to your partner, stop. Take a deep breath and communicate your concerns to your partner. That type of honesty and transparency is key. And as they say, honesty is the best aphrodisiac and sleeping pill out there, so get on it. All right, and finally, the last big idea of this note, why will take you straight to 7-Eleven. Gay Hendricks likes to say that why questions will take you straight to 7-Eleven. So if we want to reach enlightenment, we've got to get rid of the why and start asking better questions. In fact, Katie teaches that why questions are processed by a part of your brain that literally encompasses the size of a quarter. That's it. With a why question, we simply don't tap into much of our brain's creative horsepower. How and what questions, on the other hand, they tap into a much more expansive part of our brains and open up a vast amount of creativity and new neural connections. So why aren't you asking better questions? Haha. I mean, how can we ask better questions? All right, that was a whirlwind tour of 5 of the most transformative days of my life, the Conscious Living and Loving workshops. Hope you enjoyed, and you can check out Hendricks.com today, and you may want to pick up Conscious Loving or any of their other amazing books to take your love game to the next level. So let's take a quick look at Gay and Katie, as well as some of the other notes I think you'd enjoy, and then some of the quotes on the sidebar, and officially wrap this up. So together, Gay and Katie Hendricks have spent the past 25 years creating a powerfully simple set of tools for individuals in corporate transformation. Their work focuses on empowering people to use their own resources of movement, breath, creativity, presence, and love to manifest transformative choices in their life and work. You can join companies such as AT&T, Motorola, Monsanto, and IBM in using the Hendricks' groundbreaking technologies to create new ways of being and performing. And you can learn more at Hendricks.com. And if you enjoyed this note, I think you'd really enjoy the philosopher's notes on love, on the power of intention, on Rumi, on loving what is, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and a Joseph Campbell companion. All right, let's look at some of the quotes in the sidebar. We start with Leo Buscaglia from Love. He says, "To love others, you must love yourself. You can only give to others what you have yourself." And Gay and Katie say, "There is tremendous healing power in taking responsibility for something right now in the present, but no healing value in looking back to the past to blame yourself or anyone else." They also say the great advantage of openness to learning is that you're in charge of it at all times. You can choose to shift out of defensiveness into genuine curiosity at any moment. And a quote from Fritz Perls, the founder of Gestalt therapy, he says, "Fear is excitement without the breath." And keep that in mind when you consider saying the absolute truth to your partner. Fear is excitement without the breath. So breathe and turn your fear into excitement. And finally, Gay and Katie say, the choice to experience life as a genuinely powerful person liberates a huge amount of creative energy, and most people are unwilling to enjoy that amount of energy. Thankfully, I know that you're not one of those people, so choose to experience life as a genuinely powerful person and liberate a huge amount of creative energy. And of course, have a wonderful day, and I'll look forward to sharing more with you soon. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this Philosopher's Note. Please go to www.philosophersnotes.com to download more.